Most of us mark our years by holidays like Christmas and Easter. But have you ever stopped to think that behind all these dates, there's actually a single incredible story? Today, we're going to trace that exact narrative as it unfolds throughout our calendar. Right? These aren't just random days off work or school. They're actually chapters in one epic story, a story that has seriously shaped the culture we live in. Okay, so here's a really cool way to think about this whole thing. Just imagine it's a school year. Advent, that's like the first day of school, all that excitement and anticipation. Holy Week, oh, that's definitely final exams, super stressful. And then Easter, well, that's graduation day, the huge celebration of a brand new beginning. It's a fantastic way to frame the whole story. So, where does the story even begin? Well, it all kicks off with what's called the Christmas cycle, a time of waiting, celebrating, and a big revelation. The story really starts with Advent. It's this 4-week period of preparation and just growing excitement for the main event. It's kind of like the quiet prologue right before all the action starts. And all that waiting, it culminates in Christmas. This is that joyful celebration of the birth of Jesus, the very moment the story's central character finally arrives on the scene. But wait, the Christmas cycle isn't quite over yet. It actually wraps up with Epiphany, which marks the arrival of the 3 wise men. And this is a huge deal because it signifies that this story, well, it isn't just for a small group of people. It's for the entire world. So, after all the joy and celebration of Christmas, the whole tone of the story shifts. Now we're entering a much more solemn and reflective period, the road to Easter. This part of the journey starts on Ash Wednesday. It kicks off a 40-day period of fasting and reflection, and it really sets a pretty somber stage for the critical events that are about to unfold. And that leads us straight into Holy Week, where, wow, things happen really, really fast. It starts with Palm Sunday's big triumphant entry into Jerusalem, but then it's followed by Maundy Thursday and the Last Supper. Then comes the deep sorrow of Good Friday and the crucifixion, which leads into this quiet, still, and tense day of waiting, Holy Saturday. But after all that tension and sorrow of Holy Week, the story reaches its incredible, triumphant climax. This is the grand finale, a massive celebration of new beginnings. And this brings us to a really crucial point. While Christmas might get more of the cultural spotlight, in the Christian faith, Easter is, without a doubt, the single most important feast of the entire year. So why is that? It's because Easter celebrates the resurrection of Jesus, the ultimate symbol of hope and victory over death. I mean, this is the very moment the whole story has been building towards. But the story doesn't just end at Easter. 40 days later, you have the Ascension, which marks Jesus' return to heaven. And then, just 10 days after that, there's Pentecost, which celebrates the descent of the Holy Spirit. This is seen as the birth of the church itself. Now, woven into this main story, the Catholic tradition also includes some really important days for remembering key figures of the faith. First, there's All Saints' Day. This is a day set aside specifically to honor all the recognized saints, the figures who are seen as the heroes of the faith. And then right after that is All Souls' Day, which is a much more personal day of remembrance, a time to pray for and honor the memory of loved ones who have passed on. Okay, so why does all this matter? I mean, especially if you're not religious, what's the connection to our culture today? Well, it really comes down to this. These holidays and the narrative they create are just so deeply woven into the fabric of our culture. Understanding them helps us understand a really key part of our collective story. So what's the big takeaway here? Well, now you have a much better sense of why people celebrate these holidays. And it's an invitation for you to think about which part of this epic story, from the quiet waiting to the ultimate triumph, is maybe the most meaningful to you. And that leaves us with one final question to think about. Whether it's the joy of a new beginning, the seriousness of sacrifice, or the comfort of remembrance, which chapter in this calendar-long story really resonates the most with you?